The scene then shifts, and we see an old red bus heading towards its destination along deserted roads. Some distance ahead, a large fallen tree blocks the road. The driver is forced to choose a new route about which he knows nothing. As the bus moves onto that lonely track, scattered skeletons begin to appear by the roadside, and the atmosphere becomes even more horrifying. All the trees in the jungle are gone. Only desolation remains. Suddenly, a deep fog envelops the front of the bus, and the entire atmosphere shivers. The bus stops. The children, trembling with fear, peek outside. The driver gets down and finds a dead deer, which he moves to the side. As he turns back, his eyes widen because an unidentified man is approaching him. The driver panics and climbs back onto the bus, but the man also climbs in behind him. Holding a gun, he immediately aims at the driver and slowly turns towards the children seated in the bus. The man, in a deep voice, tells everyone to sit silently in their seats. Terrified, all the children obey him. Then, one child remembers they had recently seen this man's picture in the news. He is the serial killer who escaped from jail and only targets teenagers. Everyone's blood runs cold. At the man's signal, they all throw their phones out the window. The driver silently drives the bus. But then his eyes catch a signboard on the roadside which reads, "Dead END, turn back now." The driver ignores another warning sign that states an abandoned military zone is a hidden area where some secret research took place years ago but is now desolate. As the bus enters an old tunnel, some lights are flickering, making the atmosphere even more mysterious. A short distance in, the bus suddenly stops with a jolt. The engine has died. The psychopath suspects the driver is trying to trick him. Angrily, he holds a girl at gunpoint and shouts, "Get out, or I'll kill her! Fix this bus immediately, or I'll kill this child!" Silence descends on the bus due to the killer's scream. All the tunnel lights go out, and deep darkness spreads. The children start to tremble, and strange, terrifying sounds echo all around. The killer signals the driver, "Go and see what's happening." Fearfully, the driver takes his torch and moves into the darkness. As he goes deeper, he sees a shadow. Getting closer, he realizes it's not a person, but a terrifying monster. He screams loudly in terror. The horrible creature catches the driver and brutally kills him. Everyone inside the bus is watching. The psychopath, frozen in terror, quickly recovers and returns to the bus. The children's screams echo, but he angrily signals everyone to keep quiet. "If you make a noise, that monster will find us too." He quickly tries to start the bus, but then he realizes the keys are with the driver. He is dead. Panicked, he signals a girl among the children, "Go get the keys." The girl, trembling with fear, slowly steps outside. As she reaches the driver, her heart sinks. The driver was truly dead. She stared at his face, tears welling up in her eyes. But there was no time to stop. Gathering her courage, she picks up the keys and returns to the bus. Her face clearly shows she is broken. When the other children ask her, she silently shakes her head. Everyone understands that the driver is gone. The atmosphere becomes mournful. The killer then tells a boy named Reggie, "You start the bus." Reggie tries, but the bus still won't start. The bus was broken. How could it start? The killer screams in anger, "If you don't start the bus, I'll kill everyone." But Reggie fearlessly starts arguing with him. Just then, a child, seizing an opportunity, pushes the killer from behind. As he falls to the ground, Reggie snatches the gun from his hand and aims it at him, but the killer starts laughing. "It's not that easy to kill me. It takes courage, which you don't have." Suddenly, strange and terrifying sounds echo outside the bus. Everyone's eyes turn toward the windows. The strange noises were getting continuously louder. All the children were terrified. Those sounds frightened everyone so much that the killer managed to snatch the gun back. Now, strange rustling and dragging sounds were coming from the roof of the bus. In a panic, the killer angrily jumps out of the bus and shouts, "Whoever you are, show yourself." Suddenly, his voice stops. A strangely terrifying smile spreads across his face, and the next moment, someone attacks him. In a flash, his head is severed from his body. Seeing this, the children inside the bus are in shock. It was as if everything had stopped. The children were terrified. In one hand, the scary creature held the killer's severed head, and from its other hand, tentacles emerged, stuck into that head. The sight was like a nightmare. No one knew what to do. Everyone decided that staying inside the bus was the safest option for now. But then, strange gurgling noises started coming from outside again. With a loud cracking sound, the bus door slowly opens, and the monster's long, terrifying hands from near the roof hang over the seats. The monster was about to enter the bus. As the creature stepped inside, the children screamed and ran toward the other door, but that door was jammed. Suddenly, a child's torchlight accidentally falls on the creature, and it immediately recoils. Everyone realizes this monster is afraid of light. What next? Using the torchlight as their weapon, the children keep it at bay. Just then, the jammed door opens, and everyone runs out and flees. Keeping the light aimed at it, they keep running until they reach an old bunker. Inside the bunker, there was a room with a map of the entire area on the wall. After looking at the map, they realize that this place is actually an old military base where, if a military base exists, there must be a light and control panel. They decide that to survive this monster, they must restore power to the base. Everyone gathers to plan on the map, guessing where the control room might be. Nolan and 2 companions set out to find the power point, while the other 3 remain in the bunker. Amidst the fear, they talk and act strangely to hide their terror. But the danger hasn't passed. The 3 remaining children were talking when a girl says, "I need to go to the washroom." She didn't want to go alone out of fear, so Reggie went with her. Reggie kept joking along the way, but Q was quiet. She wasn't answering him. After some time, when Reggie looked back, he was horrified. Q wasn't there at all. He panicked and loudly called her name. Hearing his screams, the other friends rushed over. Now, everyone understood that Q had disappeared and perhaps was no longer alone. Searching for Q, they reached a dark area where the scene before them was heart-wrenching. A terrifying monster was bent over Q, as if about to swallow her. Q was trembling with fear. Just then, Reggie swiftly pointed a burning torch toward the monster, startling it. In the meantime, his friend successfully pulled Q out and dragged her away. Both started running fast without checking if Reggie was behind them. But then, the torch slipped from Reggie's hand and fell into the water below, and now he had no defense. The torch had gone out, and the monster was about to attack Reggie. Strange things came out of its mouth and fell onto Reggie's face. It looked like blood. Just then, Q and her friend arrived, and were stunned to see Reggie's condition. There was no time to do anything. The monster was about to swallow him in the next moment, when suddenly, bright light filled the entire area. Frightened by the light, the monster growled and fled from there. Everyone understood. Nolan and the others had turned the power on. Nolan had also found a room that hid the biggest secret of the base. Inside the room lay a rotting dead body. Pictures covered the walls, and several old notes were scattered on a table. The notes contained information only about that terrifying creature, as if someone had been researching it for years. It seemed the scientist wanted to destroy it, but failed. But Nolan and his companions wanted an escape route, not research. Moving forward, they saw a long shadow in the distance. Both froze and held their breath. It could be him. The same monster was still looking for them. Seeing the shadow, everyone was terrified. But getting closer, they realized it wasn't a monster, but their own 3 friends. They were extremely happy to be reunited. But this happiness didn't last long. One of them noticed a deep wound on Q's neck, which was still bleeding. Everyone was shocked. Had Q become infected by the monster? Some suggested that maybe keeping her around wasn't a good idea, but no one could bring themselves to agree. They decided that whatever happened, Q would stay with them. But no one knew what was going to happen next, or if Q was even the same person anymore. To learn more about the monster, everyone returned to the room where they had found the piles of notes earlier. An old notebook caught their eye, and they opened it and started reading. It told the story of a boy who loved exploring new places with his sister. Exploring led them to this military base. The boy was intently looking at the map and fell behind, while his sister walked ahead. A short while later, her scream was heard. But when he ran to the spot, there was no trace of his sister. Only strange marks were on the ground. The girl kept going forward, and suddenly, as she peered into the tunnel, her eyes widened in fear. She saw something strange and terrifying inside. By the time her brother saw her, it was too late. Screams echoed from inside the tunnel. Panicked, he couldn't muster the courage to save his sister, and instead ran into the jungle to save his own life. This was the scene we saw at the beginning of the story, a child running in fear in the jungle. But the incident forever stayed with him, that his cowardice had taken his sister. His sister's death had broken the boy. He now wanted revenge on the thing that took his sister. Despite not being able to do anything for years, he didn't give up. He researched the monster, gathered every piece of information, and even built a machine that could destroy it. But before he could kill it, the monster became aware of his presence and killed him too. The children also learned from the notes that a person attacked by this monster gradually begins to change. Something strange starts growing on them. The notes stated that the monster eventually kills anyone it attacks or whose blood it tastes. Now Q was in the greatest danger. All the friends decide that they will not abandon Q. They will finish what the boy who started the fight couldn't. They will complete the unfinished machine and kill the monster. But Q says no one should be in danger because of me. But her friends refuse to back down. We will all get out alive. Saying this, they hug each other and prepare for the battle ahead. Everyone gets to work on their plan. The machine the boy had built to kill the monster is found. It was now fully operational. Seeing this, a ray of hope sparks in everyone. But the real work begins now, luring the monster to the machine. For this, they set a trap. Clothes soaked in QS blood are placed in a deserted spot so that the monster is drawn there by the scent. Q also stands a short distance away to ensure the monster comes to the right spot. As soon as the monster arrives, they are ready to turn on the lights. The monster does fall for the trap. It sniffs the clothes but immediately understands it's not Q. Then, it catches the scent of the real Q and starts moving toward her. Nolan had to pull the trigger, but unfortunately, the trigger jammed. The monster was now very close to Q. Just at the last moment, the machine starts up and bright lights hit the monster. Frightened by the light, it releases Q. Q and her friend run out of the tunnel. At the same time, another friend bravely steps forward. To run the machine at full power, one friend musters the courage to stab the monster in the stomach, but it has no effect. Now, only one way remains for everyone: run. With torches in their hands, they start running out of the tunnel. The terrifying monster is close behind. The two girls had already gotten out. Stepping into the open air, they breathed a sigh of relief. But when they looked behind, their friends hadn't arrived yet. Just then, the monster appears at the mouth of the tunnel. They tremble with fear, but it doesn't come out. Perhaps it was afraid of the light or the open environment, or something else was stopping it. There was light outside, and just then, the three friends silently approached the monster from behind and set it on fire. Then, they quickly run out of the tunnel. The monster continued to burn, and finally, their plan worked. The monster was killed, and everyone's lives were saved. They had not only saved themselves, but also permanently eliminated a future threat. In the movie's final scene, the children remember their driver, who had asked them a riddle. What is the one thing that gets you out of every trouble? They didn't have the answer then, but now they knew. Courage. All these children now fully understood that the answer to the riddle was indeed courage, the strength that can pull a person out of the biggest trouble. Their driver was no longer in this world, but in his final moments, he had given them the biggest lesson in life, a lesson that is perhaps not found in any book. Don't run from fear, confront it. And with this realization, the most terrifying night of their lives ended, and the story concludes.